Head coach of the Aztecs, Rocky Long, is with us.
The Red Rebel!
San Diego State 7-4, 6-1 in conference play. Here's Coach Long on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. Hey, Coach.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm doing good right now. Are you doing good?
Doing great.
Not as good as you.
Doing well. Hey,
Right.
You guys with that big win Saturday, the Chargers yesterday with the win in Kansas City, things are all good in our world.
I'll tell you what, in San Diego, things are looking up pretty good, aren't they?
They certainly are.
They sure are.
Yeah.
Coach, I know the season's still going on and you don't have a chance to kind of sit back and think about these sorts of things, but are you at all surprised 0-3 start to where you guys are today?
Yeah, obviously, if you go back to when we were 0-3, I'm surprised. But, you guys know this. You don't have any other choice but to keep working at it and trying to get better. And we have great kids. I think I've said that a million times on your program. We have great kids in our program, and they kept getting after it. And now we're a group that seems to play just good enough to win. But that's fine as long as you're winning. It's fine. But I wish we'd put one together where we kind of won by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Coach, but it's also you have to realize that the kids, they accepted what you guys were saying. They kept on integrating what you were telling them, and they turned that into wins on the football field, and that's got to be extremely gratifying for you guys.
Well, it's really fun to coach this group. I think we were all disappointed early in the season, but as I said, they come to work every single day, and they go out with the right attitude in practice. They go out with the right attitude in the game, and we're making just enough plays, which is nice, especially for our senior class that's been here for 5 years, that they've kind of turned this program around, and they left that stadium with a great feeling the other night. But being 4 overtime games, win 3 of them, win, I think, 7 games and 7 out of the last 8 games by 7 points or fewer, and always behind going into the fourth quarter, I guess I don't know. I don't know how my heart is. I better go get checked.
Well, look, I can tell you, Coach, that, and you know this, of course, and the average fan knows this, there are times when teams just crumble as the result of a bad start, where they get into a spiral and they can't work their way out of it. At 0-3, and again, the first loss of the season was really bad. That Eastern Illinois thing, that looks really bad now, but that's my point, is that for me, what I'm watching as an observer is a phenomenal coaching job by you and your staff of making sure that these kids continue to work, continue to believe, and here's where you find yourself right now.
Payoff.
Sitting at 6-1 in the conference and 7-4 overall. To me, it's just a spectacular coaching job.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but you guys know that coaches coach, players make plays, and if you have players making plays, you win games. And obviously they took what we had to say to heart and worked on it and got better, but they're the guys making the plays, and you can never take that away from the coaches can lose a game by not giving them a chance, but we give them a chance. We think we give them a chance every week. They're the ones that have to go execute it, and they've been doing that.
And Coach, you gave them the plan to get to the quarterback, and they paid you back with the season-high 4 quarterback sacks.
Yeah, it's funny how all of a sudden we're playing better defense too because we're getting pressure on the quarterback. I think we had 1 interception going, I don't know, I think we had halfway through the season we only had 1 interception. Now we have 7. We've had an interception the last 4 weeks. We're considered the worst red zone defense in the country by statistics, but somehow we keep winning overtime games, so I think those stats can get shoved where. But I don't know. When you have great kids in your program and they want to listen and want help, and you give them help, and they react to it the right way, it's surely a fun thing to be around.
Mm-hmm. San Diego State 34-31 over Boise State this past Saturday night at Qualcomm Stadium. Coach, running game wasn't really working though so much. What was going on there?
Boise State's really good up front. I didn't know they were so physical. When they showed up, they looked a lot bigger than I remember them looking. And then I didn't know, on the sidelines, I'm with the defense, so I just knew that we were having trouble running the ball, and thank goodness that our passing game was good enough to keep us in the game and score some points. But then when I watched the film the next day, they were so big and strong and physical up front, we were having a terrible time trying to block them. In fact, we didn't block them very well. And I didn't know they were that physical up front. I think it's the best defensive front we've seen since Ohio State.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that you got these two running backs who carry the ball a total of 36 times for less than 100 yards. I mean, that's shutting down a running game.
Well, they did. They put them up there close to the line of scrimmage, and they were physical, but they gave up some pass plays.
Well, right. And so let me ask you this, Coach Long. How and I'll use this word, tell me if it's not the right one. How lucky do you feel about the fact that Quinn Kaler walked on at San Diego State? Because this guy was not really projected to be where he is right now. And if you would have told most people you're going to be with a backup walk-on quarterback, most people would have thought your season not really going very well.
Well, I think we feel extremely lucky. And I think you have to give Coach Sipe and Coach Toledo credit. As our whole program goes, if a kid walks onto our program, we give them an opportunity to prove they can play. We don't put them in different locker rooms. We don't give them a different shirt. We don't say you're an automatic scout team guy. And those two guys gave him a chance to prove that he could play, and he proved to them that he was good enough to be the backup going into the season. And then when we struggled at quarterback, he became the starter, and he's getting better and better and better. By this time, by the end of January, he'll be on scholarship so we can stop calling him a walk-on.
Yeah. Good.
Well, but you know what? I've already come up with next year's, slogan. Like this year you had the whole TV commercial, and you're like, we want you, and it was kind of like very Uncle Sammy kind of thing, even though it was Uncle Rocky.
Uncle Rocky, right.
I think as you go into next year, and that'll be Quinn Kaler's senior year, that's the kind of player that a whole team can rally around. That's the kind of story that a whole team can rally around. I think next year's slogan is something like right now or this is it or something like that where you do a whole ad campaign around this quarterback and you build up and you tell this story. Because I think San Diegans would fall in love with it if they knew it as well as Billy Ray and I do.
Well, I agree with you, and I think the team has rallied around him, and I'm sure they'll go into next season with him as the starting quarterback with a lot of confidence that will continue the same way. And I don't know much about marketing, but I'm sure you do, so that's probably a pretty good idea.
Well, trust me on these sorts of things.
Have you had a quarterback in the past, Rocky, that has learned and improved as much as Quinn has week to week to week?
I've never been around a walk-on quarterback that has improved like he has. I have seen some scholarship kids that go into the season and can't take a snap from center, and by the end of the year, they're the best quarterback in the league. I have seen that.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's a remarkable turnaround, and only one game left on the schedule at UNLV. With a win, San Diego State would get to 8-4, 7-1 in the conference. Coach, if you could, before you go, what bowl games are sniffing around? What are we talking about now?
Well, it's a pecking order. It all depends on if Fresno State wins out or not. And now I saw where Northern Illinois jumped them in the BCS poll. So I don't know how that's going to work. But the idea in our league was that if Fresno State won out, they were going to a BCS bowl game, and then everybody else would move up in the pecking order for bowl games. Now that Fresno's dropped below Northern Illinois in the BCS poll, I don't know if they win out. I don't know if they get to go or not. So obviously, if they don't get to go to a BCS game, Fresno would go to the Vegas Bowl, and then everybody else kind of picks an order. So it's all about what Fresno does and what they end up in the poll.
So just because I don't know that off the top of my head, if Fresno were to go to the Vegas Bowl, then there's this pecking order. And we were talking last week to the guys from the Poinsettia Bowl. They don't want to have the same team like back-to-back years.
Right.
So what other games, or at least on your radar?
Oh, I think the New Mexico Bowl would be interested. I think the bowl in Fort Worth, the Armed Services Bowl, would be interested. Mm-hmm. I think right now they're all interested in us because we're 7-1 in conference, and so they're interested. They're just waiting to see what happens with Fresno, and then we go from there.
New Mexico Bowl is, other than being in New Mexico, where's it at?
It's in Albuquerque.
Okay, I'm not going.
Why is that? You have a bad day in Albuquerque?
I have a bad taste in my mouth for Albuquerque. Coach, you watch Breaking Bad?
I have watched it a couple times, sure.
Yeah, I'm on season 3, episode 2. I've been watching for the last 2 weeks. I'm trying to get through it as fast as I can.
Takes place in Albuquerque.
Yeah, and it takes place in Albuquerque, the
Is
ABQ.
it about a football player?
No football players, but it's really bad. And I have this bad taste in my mouth. I think the tourism industry must be suffering terribly in Albuquerque thanks to Breaking Bad. I tell you that right now.
Maybe so. Mm-hmm.
All right. Coach, congratulations. We'll look forward to talking next week after you guys take care of UNLV. Have a happy Thanksgiving week, Coach.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks,
Pleasure.
Coach.
Bye.
Coach Rocky Long on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. What a turnaround.
Well,
Really. I mean, that is great coaching. Billy Ray,
I couldn't agree more, Scott. I'm telling you.
a team loses its first 3. Their backup quarterback's a walk-on. He's the starter. A couple weeks into it, you lose your best defensive player. I mean,
That's when some players. I mean, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen over bus drives. This year, we've seen teams revolt on their coach over just riding a bus for too long. And normally if teams start off with a couple of 3 losses, you got a lot of trouble on your hands.
It's impressive.
Not with these guys.
Yeah. And playing on national TV, be it ESPN or CBS Sports Network, I'm expecting big things in this recruiting class. And I think Quinn Kaler's senior year, there's a lot to be excited about that young man.
You bet.
All right, Billy Ray, back to the Chargers and the Chiefs. Want to get to the Patriots and the Broncos and other things that happened around the NFL this past weekend. We'll get to that coming right up. We're live at the Fox Sports Grill in downtown San Diego on Scott and BR.
San Diego sports leader, the Mighty 1090.